Welcome to Notebook, a program of interest to the St. Lucie County community that features information about St. Lucie County schools. Guests include school district and community leaders with focus on children in our community.
Hello and welcome to the September edition of Notebook. And this show is going to provide resources for parents and children of St. Lucie County as we connect you with community officials, school district personnel, as well as organizations that impact the children and families in this community in St. Lucie County. I'm Jane Whitaker.
And I'm Dr. Greg Earn. We'll serve as your co-hosts for the next hour as we discuss back-to-school tips and various strategies that both parents and students will find invaluable now at the start of the new school year. We know that transitioning back to a new school year can be both exciting and challenging. So let's meet our special guest today. We have Kate McCormick, who is a school social worker with the school district. Welcome.
Thank you.
We have Kelly Nigro, who is a school counselor with St. Lucie Elementary School, and Ms. Candace Stone, an assistant principal from Lincoln Park Academy. Welcome to all three of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Well, we're going to start today just by taking a moment to get to know you a little bit. And if you would each take just a minute or two just to share a little bit about your professional journey, maybe just a little background of where you started in the education system and how you've progressed to where you are today. So Kelly, why don't we start with you?
All right. I'm Kelly Nigro. I'm the guidance counselor at St. Lucie Elementary. This is my third year at St. Lucie Elementary and in St. Lucie County. I was a guidance counselor in Polk County for 3 years before transitioning over to St. Lucie County. And before that, I was a social worker and did that with the state for several years, and then actually in a hospital setting working with children and families who were going through grieving processes and maybe losing a loved one, dealing with an illness. So that, I think that kind of led me to guidance. It really made me see, what I could do to impact children and their families in the education setting. There's often a disconnect between home and school, and I wanted to bring that into the guidance role in the class, and in the classroom. So,
Kate, how about you?
Well, I started my career as a social worker, where most of us do after we finish our bachelor's degree with the state, to the Department of Children and Families. And I went on from there after completing my master's, and I actually worked for hospice as a social worker and a grief counselor with children. And I did some private practice as well and some training of therapists. And then when I found a position open for school social workers, that was my dream job. And so when I got here, I felt like everything I had done led me to this point, because I had the counseling experience, I had the home visit experience, I had done groups and things in schools, so I had some experience in the schools. So this was just like, this was where I was meant to be. So, and since I've been here, I've been with the district for 7 years. I had 1 semester in a classroom, which was an invaluable experience for me as, being in the school district, and I'm back as a social worker, so it's just been wonderful. I really enjoy it.
Great. Candace?
Well, I started my career a little bit different. I started in corporate America at CNN, and then I made my way down to St. Lucie. When I moved to St. Lucie, my love is language arts, so I started teaching at Fort Pierce Central High School as a language arts instructor, teaching gifted and honors English, speech 1, 2, and 3, just to be specific. It was wonderful. I loved it, but there was something in my heart that said I wanted to do more, and it was make a difference for children and to make sure that whatever I'm doing my best, and I'm a role model, I'm an example, but the most important thing is I'm making a difference for their lives. So I decided to go into ed leadership. And once I did that, I felt that was where I needed to be. And I got my opportunity with actually Pauline Hebb. Mm-hmm. She was my first principal, and she hired me at Morningside Elementary. And I was a high school person going to elementary. And it was a great experience because you understand life when you've had experiences at all levels. And I've had that. Then after that, Peggy Anderson Actually, Jerry McPherson actually moved me to Lincoln Park, and Peggy Anderson was my principal. And I was excited to be there because I love the arts, I love the school, and I love the history because Fort Pierce is really rich in history. So since then, I've been at LPA. I'm a proud person to work there. I'm proud of the kids, proud of the parents, proud of the district on what we're doing every day. Because the difference is every day when we walk through the doors, we're making the future better. And that's my goal. So when I think about, am I happy? I'm ecstatic. Do I love the school? Absolutely. But I more importantly love children. And the most important thing is that we're making a difference for children so they can have a better future tomorrow.
That is
Thank you.
well said, all three of you. And we love that all the things that you've been able to accomplish in your time here and what a difference you make every day, which is amazing. And some of the things that we want to kind of touch on are we're only in our third week of school, so we really are transitioning back to a new year. And those transitions, and you were even sharing about your own transitions personally, but as we look into the transitions of our own kids, throughout the county and throughout the district, there's lots of anxious feelings, lots of even the parents are even experiencing them, not just the kids. So I'm thinking just specifically the transition from preschool to kindergarten, or from elementary, which you would be dealing with the elementary kids coming into middle school, which is a huge hop in the differences of their expectations, and then from middle to high school. So are there some ideas or strategies maybe that you each could maybe share with us from your own expertise and your own area of that you work with the kids that maybe would calm those common anxieties as the kids are returning back to school? Of course, we think of testing all the time, and a lot of the kids, this is the first time that maybe some of them have even experienced that. So maybe share some things that you would maybe suggest maybe for the parents to work with their kids, or even maybe working with the students themselves. What are some things that you would maybe share with them to calm those nerves a little bit? Candace, let's start with you.
Well, I think the most important thing is children, and that means 6 through 12, and that would be K through 12, which would be preschool to me. Everyone must have a routine. And if you set routines in place, then children can work and learn to do them. So the most important thing I would say is setting routines, which would start with making sure that there's a set time to go to bed, which everyone says that's not important. It's extremely important that children are well rested. If you go back to research, they will tell you that. The next portion is when they wake up. There's a set time to wake up. Because once we've started with those small things, then you can continue. Then it would be set pattern for breakfast. Not to have things rushed. When we talk about planners, if you want to go to students in the classroom, the most important thing I think in the world is a planner. And every child, I know with the schools that I've been involved with, all students have planners. But it's very important because that's a communication tool for the parent, but also it's a tool for the student to write down what's going on. So every class they go to, whether they're in elementary, middle, or high, they should be jotting down, this is what happened. Then when the child comes home, maybe they have a snack, a rest period, and then there's study time. And the parent then will check the planner. So it makes their child accountable, and it makes the student accountable. So those are quick things that I would say would be great tips. Setting routines is the most important thing for everybody, being parents included.
Oh, well said. I was going to say big people included. Well said.
Yep.
Kate, just from your perspective as a social worker, what are some things that maybe come to mind from you?
Well, I am a firm believer in communication. I was thinking, I work at all levels, so I do elementary, I do middle, and I do high school, so I've witnessed the transition for all of them. I have my own children, so I've experienced the transition, and I can say that I know it's past at this point, but the open houses, taking the kids, walking them to their classes, meeting their teachers, relieves a lot of that anxiety. So if you didn't get the opportunity to do that, I would call and schedule an appointment to meet the teacher and just kind of make sure that you have those open lines of communication. For the littler kids, it's always fun to read stories before school starts that talk about what it's going to be like going to school. Obviously, as they get into middle and high school, they they're probably not wanting you to read them a story, but I do think just setting that, having that exposure to where they'll be and who they'll be with, and that communication with your child as well as with the staff and the school staff, I think that in and of itself relieves a lot of the anxiety, and of course the routine. I can't say
Stress
that
it
enough. Yeah, it's really important, as well as making sure they're there every day. I mean, that's where I get it called in a lot, is when they aren't there, and sometimes it's an anxiety issue. They are afraid, but making sure that they're there and they're meeting their educational needs, they're getting the work, I think that's part of the main key factor. Thank you.
Awesome.
And I'm just at the elementary level. I did work in Polk County at a K through 8, so I had some experience with the kids going to middle school. But for me, I always think back to like my kindergarten babies and those kids transitioning from pre-K, daycare setting, no daycare, they were home with mom or dad until they came to kindergarten. So they have no idea what kindergarten is. I still remember years and years and years ago when my mom told me I was going to kindergarten, I thought I was going to a garden to play. So a kindergarten, they don't know what it is. So I always suggest, if you're signing your student up for the first time, when you get that assignment card about what school they're going to be at, when you're coming in to fill out paperwork, bring your child with you. They get to meet the people in the front office. Sometimes, principals, assistant principals, guidance counselors are around that, can kind of talk to them for a brief moment and just welcome them. That's an opportunity to even see the school if you've never seen it before, walk around that campus and see what it's like. I do think open house is extremely important. The kids really then see a lot of the other kids that are going to be there. Then they know they're not alone. There's 18 or 19 or 20 other kids in their class depending on their grade level. So that can ease a lot of anxiety for them because they feel like they're in it alone. I think parents have a lot of anxiety coming in, and I do think it's important that, you take the time the first few days of school to, our parent drop-offs, the lines are huge the first few days of school because parents want to come and walk their child to class and send them off and see where they're going to be first in the morning. So I think that's crucial. And I think meeting the teacher is crucial as well. And like you said, if you haven't met them, you can, call and schedule to meet that teacher because maybe there's something that they want to tell you, that great, and things you might want to share as well. And then the first 21 days of school, the first month of school, we are instilling procedures in our students. So those students are learning those procedures every single day of when they come in, how they line up, how they proceed to put their backpack away from the minute, they step in to the minute they leave. It is a procedure. So that's where the home procedure is huge as well, because then the child gets used to, I come home, I have a snack, I do my homework. After dinner I might have a few minutes to play or, spend some time with my friends and family and then go to bed and then wake up and do it all over again. So I really think, as adults we crave the structure, but the kids really crave the structure. So.
Right. And just finding that stability as well, because those routines are crucial from home and school, and how important it is just for the kids to really experience that discipline and understanding and what the expectations are. That's amazing.
The routines are important.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Good. Okay. We're probably going to stick with you, Kelly, because you got some. We'll start out with you. But I know even with my own children, it's very difficult sometimes to find balance because there are so many things that are going on in school, whether it's helping with homework or extracurricular activities. Finding balance is very difficult. And so, what advice can each of you give our audience about participating in extracurricular activities, both at elementary and the secondary level? Should kids do so, and to what extent should they? And we'll start out with Candace, if we could. Actually, I said Kelly, we'll go with you first.
Okay. Well, I'll start with the elementary because that's mostly what I have the experience with. I do think extracurricular activities can be great for students, especially for students that are learning routines at school. They get another avenue to show their talents, learn more routines, other ways to express themselves that can be brought into the classroom too. When we're reading with kids, when we're writing with children, when we're just talking about, a math problem, it can relate back to, maybe they're on the football team in the neighborhood, or they take a dance class. So I do think it is something that they can become involved in, because at my school we do have a lot of contact between the two. Even, we have parents that give us coach's number, and that's somebody who's really positive in that student's life, and hearing that coach knows what's going on, and can say, hey, you did such a great job this week at school, start on the field or something, just gives them another avenue to really pump themselves up. But it is a huge balance, because I have my own children, and young ones, kindergarten through 5th grade, they're so tired at the end of the day that you really have to just look at your child. Is that something that, is going to benefit them? Are they going to be too tired to do it? Maybe you start out small with one activity and then go from there. They're not for everybody, so it is going to depend on your child. But I do think that it is another way to pull the community in with our students and the families, and it's a great resource. And even if they don't want to do an extracurricular activity, even just going to the library and getting books, or attending a story time, or attending a community event that they're having, gives them that exposure out in the community. So.
Okay, thank you. Kate?
I think that extracurricular activities are extremely important for kids, but I think you do have to find that balance. And in our world, it is academics come first, and that goes back to your structure and your routines at home, because they have to have that time to make sure they're getting their work done first and foremost. But what else they get from those extracurricular activities, they get the social skills that they may not be, how to play together. The coaches or the leaders of whatever they're doing, if it's their instructors, there are ACEs, where kids at Hope District, we like positive adult role models, and those for my kids. I have a middle schooler who's a basketball player. Her coach he is who we go to sometimes if we're struggling with something. But like you said, you have to have that balance. For the little ones, it might be one class on the weekend. And as they get older, then they have to kind of discipline themselves. Like this day we have homework. We know we have homework on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have basketball on Wednesdays and Fridays. And we really kind of structure our life that way. But I feel like it has been, just the physical outlet, the mental release, the having fun, working with other kids. I think if you can do it, it's a great thing to do.
Okay, thank you.
Wow. Well, I echo the same thing. My sentiments are that if a child has the ability, I look at things a little bit differently after the academics is done, because I totally agree with what I've heard from my peers. It's important that we find an outlet for children to be able to be successful. And it could be that you start with T-ball, and T-ball is not your area. But then you start playing soccer and you're really good at it. So it's important that kids, they interact with others. And what are we teaching them? That cooperative groups, that your peers matter, that you care about other people, that increases your self-esteem because you're good at something. And you don't have to be the best, but the exposure is the most important thing for the kids. When I look at valuable things that have happened in kids' life, I always hear, oh, it's because I was in the chorus. Oh, it's what I did in the band. Yes, they do great academically, but when we can couple that with something else, it just makes us have a well-rounded student. And I think that parents want well-rounded kids. I guess the problem comes in is when you have a kid that's well-rounded and great at everything. And then it's, well, how do I balance this? And when we think about balance, we look at what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, and let's maybe pick some stuff that you're really good at, but let's go back and look at some things where we want to get better, and you give them opportunities for success in all those areas. So when I look at balance, I look at, parents are working with you, the kids are excited about what they're doing, and then you just work together to find out that happy medium. But the ACE that she was talking about is the most important thing, because that coach can be the resource when you can't talk to the parent. The parent's trying and struggling, and then you call the coach and something happens because they have just a little bit more edge, because it's something about the coach, they don't want to let them down. So there are times as the child gets older and they're going through their puberty stage that maybe the parents, their voice may not be heard as much. So we can use that ACE as another strong, positive role model that will make the difference for success for our kids. And I believe that if we have all these role models, then our future is brighter because of them. So that's what I would say.
Okay,
Well
thank you.
said. Well said.
Wonderful. And you all bring such varied perspectives to our show, which is a great thing today. So we can ask about what parents should do when they have difficulties. You know, what should they do if their child is experiencing academic difficulties, or let's say social, behavioral difficulties? Is there someone or something they should do first? What can they do first in addressing those concerns? And we'll start out with Kelly.
I would say first, keep that line of communication open with the classroom teacher.
Okay.
They are always, I think parents sometimes think, oh, I'm emailing them or calling them way too much. We love hearing from you. We want you to tell us what you know, because we're only there, 8 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. We don't have that picture at night. So I would say contact the teacher first. A lot of times parents will come right into the front office, and obviously the teacher may not be available right at that particular moment because they're in the classroom, especially at the elementary level. So they will ask to speak with me. So the guidance counselor is always a wonderful resource that can kind of take down all of the parents' concerns and then go back to the teacher and say, this is what's been going on. Maybe we all need to come together and sit down and discuss what all the needs are, because there are home needs, there are school needs, there's just needs all around, and everybody can have a chance to express what really the problem is or the issue. And if that isn't something that you feel has remedied the situation, then you need to go back to the teacher and say, I'm still struggling, or he's still struggling, and maybe a PST meeting can be scheduled. And that's a problem-solving team that's at every school, and the parent is an important role in that team. Everything that we do that is going to affect our students, we are doing it as a team. So the classroom teacher, the guidance counselor, a principal, a resource teacher, the parent, they give so much valuable information, and I don't want parents to ever feel like, especially at the elementary level, that it's intimidating to come in and talk to people at the school, because we're there for your child too. So we all have the same goal, we have the same person in mind that we want to do what's best for. So maybe that problem-solving team needs to come together and talk about, what's been going on, if it's an academic issue or, a social, emotional issue. That is a place for ideas to be thrown out about what can be done at school, at home, and then we can meet along the way, again, come back together to see, has, mom, dad, is the problem, grandma, grandpa, has it gotten better? Is it worse? What do we need to do? And if the classroom teacher, if they don't know how to answer the parent, they'll come to a resource like a guidance counselor or a principal or assistant principal to find out what to do next and help that parent along the way to get that meeting scheduled. So I say start with the teacher, and then there's other people like myself as a guidance counselor and administration that are always there to answer questions for parents.
Okay. And in addition to school counselor, we also have school social workers that serve our district. And what advice or what things can you tell us?
Well, as a school social worker, I serve the district. I'm not at one school, but I love what you said. I mean, I think it's about first contacting the teacher. I have several of my schools that I work with now where we have a set day every month that we pull the data, we look at attendance, we look at their discipline, we look at their grades, and we have those problem-solving team meetings just set and going, because we've seen such a difference in just sitting down, getting the child, getting the parent, getting guidance, and if there are resources from the community that need to be connected to that parent, I'm able to do that, a lot of the guidance counselors. So we've gone everything from getting tutoring to getting clothes. I mean, we find the need and then we address it. So but first we have to sit down and find out what that child is struggling with and what that family is struggling with. So that, and the problem-solving team, I probably jumped to it too quick, but I like having all the players there, and I think it's important.
Right.
I think it's important to identify and then problem solve.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. Mrs. Stone?
Well, I echo what my peers have said, but the most important thing before you get there is parents have to, be honest and open. And honesty and openness means that there's a problem. And it's okay that there's a problem. That's what we're here for. So when we're honest and open and sincere about, I'm going to call the teacher, or I'm going to email the teacher for the 10th time. Yes, it's the 10th time. It's okay. We're here to help you. That's okay, but you're being honest. And the honesty means that we can actually make a difference in your child's life. It's when we don't know, we can't help. And I think that everyone's echoed the same thing. Help is what we're here for. We're here to help rear your child, to make a difference, to give them good strategies, and to help them in any area that they need, be it from getting clothing, as we said, or it could be academic help, or it could be that they just need to have someone that they check in with every day that knows that they matter. Whatever it is, we're here to help. So with them being honest and open, what happens is it opens that line of communication so that, A, when there is something going on and you notice something, just let us know, and we'll do the same thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Well, it's nice to know we have so many resources within the school district. And one of the issues that we see more and more of each year, the issue of bullying, has become an increasingly prominent issue across the country, face-to-face as well as through social media. How might parents address this issue with their children who might be being bullied? Kelly, we'll start with you.
I think because it starts walking in the door at elementary school, you're learning skills on how to survive in that environment, just like you learn skills to add extracurricular activities and at home. And the issue of bullying does come up even in elementary school, kindergarten, first, second, third year. We do have issues that do arise. Parents do have an opportunity, if they are very concerned about something, to go on the district website and fill out a bullying complaint form, which will notify the administration at the school that there is a concern that needs to be addressed. The parents are always welcome to come in and fill that out as well. We always have paper, pencil copies. But I also, there's two things that I do as a guidance counselor when, a student comes to me or they've gone to their parent and the parent comes to me and says, I'm a little concerned about what's going on. I'm not sure if it is or it isn't, but I kind of want to stop it before it gets further. As I tell parents, you need to reiterate to your children that they need to tell somebody that it's happening. So many times in elementary school you hear, he's a tattletale, or this one told on this one. And I, in classroom guidance lessons, try to tell children there's a huge difference between tattling and letting an adult know that something is happening that should not be happening to you. So, parents reminding them that, yes, I'm glad you told me because now we can find a way to take care of the situation, but that you need to make sure you're telling your teacher so that your teacher can come to us and say, this is a concern. What can I do to help the student, or do they need to see you or an administrator? And I tell the students when I sit down with them that I'm so proud that they went home and told their parent, because it's hard to talk to people sometimes. It's hard to say, this is what happened at school. I'm glad that they're going to tell their teacher. I'm glad that, their teacher is their number one cheerleader here at school. They're the ones that are going to come to me and say there's a problem. But that also that the children need to start learning some skills themselves to assert themselves to those bullies. That it is okay to tell the bully to stop and I don't like what you're saying, and walk away to find that adult. It is okay to tell a bully to stop if you see them doing it to another person and that person's too scared to say something. But the number one thing is really having parents reminding their students that we need to know about it so that way we can take care of it. Because it's, it's sad when it goes on and on and on and we don't know about it because there are so many avenues now. We're not on Facebook with them. We're not on social media. They're talking to one another, and parents sometimes think it's about homework or about the soccer game, and they're talking to people that you don't know, and it's so hard now to keep that under control that it could be happening under everybody not realizing it. So if the student just can let us know they're not being a tattletale, you are either sticking up for yourself or a person that you see that's being hurt, and you're taking a stand to make a situation stop that should not be happening. So.
Okay, all right, thank you. Kate,
I'm taking a step further. I think I was thinking along the lines of once they got home. When I was a kid, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have those things. So if somebody was being bullied at school, it was at school. You got to go home and get a reprieve from it. And now that's not so true. Right. So as a parent, I mean, I go back to communication, because for me that is key with your kids, communication. I monitor cell phone uses. If my friend has, or my daughter has a Facebook account or Instagram account or all these other accounts, she's my friend. Because I want to see what's going on. And if there's anything that's inappropriate or hurtful or ugly, I start shutting that down right away. So as a parent, I think we have to be responsible for them. They have this technology that is with them 24/7. And we still have to be able to monitor it. So I think as a parent, you have to make sure that you're taking the responsibility of monitoring it. And if it is not being used appropriately or it is becoming a hurtful tool, then it needs to be removed. And that's how I feel. And then we have the process of talking to the school and addressing the issue at the school. We also have resources for families who feel like counseling would be helpful. You can talk to your guidance counselor, get in touch with student services, and we can help connect them with that as well if they felt like an outside counselor would be useful.
Okay.
So,
There's some great tips.
Yeah.
And Ms. Stone, how might parents address these concerns with the school?
Well, she alluded to that you can, of course, go online and you can fill out the bullying form. Well, for people who don't have internet service, we have to have another avenue. That means that they can call and report it to a teacher, a dean, or an administrator. That's the most important thing, because everybody may not have an internet, so that can't be the only form of communication. If they'd like to come in, they can come in and make an appointment and just talk to the dean or a guidance counselor, or it can be an instructor or an assistant principal, because everybody's there for the safety of their child. But then beyond that, bullying happens, but we want to make a difference with the kids. So there's something that came along a while back when I was at Lincoln Park, because kids always used to say, oh, you're telling, or you're telling on kids. Well, the word that we say at Lincoln Park is we're not telling on anybody, we're just reporting what we saw or what happened. So telling doesn't sound good, because they can say, oh, you're a narc, or you're this or that. So we say, at this time, you're going to report. And report is more formal. It makes it like kids are doing what is responsible and what is right. And we want all students to be able to report actions that are happening that are not appropriate. So we report.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Love it. Well, we're going to take a break, and as we get ready to take our break, we're going to thank Kelly and Kate for joining us today and sharing your perspective and just giving our parents and kids some great tips and starting back to school, and hopefully a much easier transition with some of the advice that you've been able to share with us. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the parent portal, and we're going to show parents some resources maybe that they're not aware of, and have Candace stay here with us for just a few minutes. And we're going to take a look at the Skyward portal, just so maybe you know some new things, or going to learn some new things that you didn't already know, that Skyward provides resources for you as parents to follow what your kids are doing each and every day here in St. Lucie County. We'll be back.
Thank you.
Where's my husband? Where's my husband?
How's she doing?
She was the passenger. I was T-boned on the passenger side.
We just had some wine. I wasn't even drunk, I was just buzzed.
What? You were just buzzed? Well, sir, you didn't tell us that. In that case, she's just fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Really?
Nah, not really.
Buzz driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
And welcome back. We're going to take a look at the parent portal through St. Lucie County Schools, and just provide you with some resources that maybe a lot of our parents and community members may not be aware that are available on our district website. So we're going to flash over it and give you a little step-by-step walk through our website, just so parents and others can see what's available. So if you go to St. Lucie County, which usually what we type in is district employees, is SLCSB. And when you put that into the search, that will bring you right to this page. And this is our home page at St. Lucie County Schools. Then what you're going to do is you're going to click on Parents and Students. So we're going to do that right there. And then as you scroll down, you're going to see a lot of different resources that are available. And as we talked about the bullying and harassment issues when we spoke earlier with our guests, right here in this area right here are the bullying and harassment, the guidelines and the complaint forms and different resources that if you click on there, you'll be able to locate a lot of the information as to what procedures need to be followed, how we can take care of those situations as quickly as possible, and so forth. Then as you go down, you're going to come across the Florida standards. A lot of our parents have lots of questions. What are the expectations of our students in school? What are they covering each and every day? What are they studying in class, and so on? So this provides the Florida Standards parent resources, so you can actually go and pull up these links and get an idea of what the students are following and what we call the scope and sequence as teachers. And that just provides a map of how the kids are progressing throughout the year academically and through their instruction. So these are great resources right here. As we move down, EOC may not be a acronym that many people are aware of, but that means end of course exams. And now this usually ties into our high school and middle school students, but also this year we're going to be adding EOC's end of course exams to some of our resource classes, such as PE and music, as the state mandates those changes coming down the pike. So those aren't here quite yet, but those will be forthcoming very soon. So parents, you can get an idea of just some resources that are available for students to help them study and prepare and be ready for these exams. So these are study guides that are very helpful and just great resources for your students. We're going to come back to the family access here because we're going to talk to Candace a little bit more here in just a moment about the parent access and what's available on Skyward, but lots of great resources that we'll be talking about here in just a moment. As we scroll down a little farther, parents, you can always go on this and take a look at this a little deeper, but we're going to scroll down just a little farther right here to Parent Academy. And this is a fairly new program that's available here in St. Lucie County that parents, we really encourage you to take an opportunity to learn about all the different resources that they have that support parents and caregivers, workshops, links to community resources, adult learning, all kinds of things that could really benefit, even parenting classes that are available through the Parent Academy. And you can find more information if you click on this as well. As we scroll down a little bit further, you're going to come across the STEM program. Very shortly, that's going to change into STEAM, which I'm very excited about because I'm a music teacher. So we're going to add that A in there, and that's going to add the arts element to it, which we know the arts encompasses all areas of academics, and we're really excited that we're going to be able to extend that here shortly. But lots of things with the STEM program as it relates to science fair projects. The STEM fair actually is going to be called the STEAM fair this year, so we're really excited. And then we also have a STEAM rap battle coming up here very shortly in the fall that parents are going to be coming more familiar with as we progress through the year. Then as we go down further, here's an area, especially with our guests, with Kelly and with Kate today, talking about student services along with Dr. Earn, who is part of the Exceptional Student Education, the ESE. You'll hear that acronym a great deal. That covers a lot of information with our gifted students throughout St. Lucie County, as well as students with disabilities. And there's so many different avenues and resources that are provided for our special needs students that we want to make parents and caregivers aware of. And this is a great resource to just click on that and find out a lot of information that's available. And we'll be providing phone numbers and contact information here at the end of the show to provide you just another connection of how to get information to further help your students with resources. As we scroll down, you'll see things for History Fair. We don't want to miss that because a lot of that is coming up here very shortly, where students will be studying different history projects and things like that that are pertinent to really just learning the history of our country and as well as the state of Florida. Lots of contact information, contact numbers that we'll provide you as well, but these are here on the website as well. So let's pop back up here. We're going to scroll back up to the top really quick. And here's one of our most important resources, parents. We cannot stress this one enough. And this is our Skyward Family Access. So I'm actually going to click on that. And you'll see where you'll be able to take a look and have a personal access that you'll set up through the portal. And we're going to have Candace, just because with her being a school administrator, she's very aware of all the different resources that are available. Most parents, when they think about Skyward, most of them, I think, just think, oh, we can go and check their grades, and that's it. But there are so many different other things that we can find just to, as resources through the day, that, communications with teachers and so on. Could you share some of that with us?
Well, Skyward has, of course, attendance, which you can check your child's attendance every day. And if your child was out, the parent will send in a note. And then what would happen is the attendance clerk would make the necessary changes to make sure it's excused. Also, it has, which is very valuable to me, and that's food service. You can go in and check to see how much money your child is eating every day. And if the account is being depleted, what's really neat about the district is they have the opportunity to now pay online. In the past, back in the day, you had to send in a check, send your child with money. You don't have to do that anymore. So if your child comes home and says, Mom, I have $1, or I don't have any money, you don't have to wait until the next day. You can use your credit card and actually pay for that. The next thing it has is there's an at-a-glance where you can look at different things that are going on with your child. Say, for instance, there's a test. Some of the teachers post their test and say this is test date. So instead of just waiting on your child to say this is going on, you can always check yourself. There are announcements that go on. Normally, within the calendar, the district, of course, puts in like when the end of the first 9 weeks, when report cards will be given, when our final exams will be done. All of that is on the portal. If you have a high school student who is interested in taking SAT and ACT, there are announcements that are there that you can just click on and find out about those things. And it makes it where it's easier and it's one-stop shop. And the most important thing I think the parents and students like about Skyward is you go to one place. I know some teachers that even put their notes online. Say, for instance, the class was learning something. I have a particular instructor who would go in and put in their notes so the kids would have it. There's a way for teachers to actually give the test through Skyward as well. So it would be digital or electronic, but that can be done as well. So there are many, many resources, and the most important thing is we have to utilize them, and that's what I like. But what the district did, and they stepped it up a notch, was they now have an app. So parents can put it on their phone, and it's right here. You can push the button, click, and you can find out about your school. And if it's iPhone, you can do that. But if it's an Android, you can do it. So the district even has an app. So we're moving with the times. We're changing. We're growing with the future. But we want to make sure our parents are with us so they can understand all the resources that are there.
And isn't it amazing? Because I think there truly is an app for everything. And I just added the app, the St. Lucie County app, to my phone. And boy, the different things that you can pull up in tweets and I'm feeling pretty techno, let me tell you. So I love it, and just lots of great resources. And the Skyward, so much better even since my kids were in high school, because I can remember back when my kids have been out of school for 4 years, and back then it was still a lot of papers coming home. Well, my son's papers would be on the bottom of his book bag, and Mom might get them, 3 or 4 days later, where Skyward is just a click of a button or a click on your phone, and it's right there. And what a great resource, and that is available through our district to anybody, and from one perspective to another. So it's great.
And what's really nice is that it's free. When you think about apps and things such as that, normally you have to pay for things, but this is all free, and it's for our kids. And the district has invested money into ensuring that these kids and our teachers have the access, and then our parents are able to have that open line of communication at any time.
Exactly.
So it's wonderful.
It is wonderful. Okay.
Well, we've had a great deal of information shared today about our district, a lot of resources within our district. Now is your time to also brag a little bit about your own school and maybe some things that are happening at your school, as well as tips for parents or strategies in navigating at your own school.
Okay. Well, Lincoln Park Academy is different because we have the opportunity to impact the community. So we will be hosting 2 events. Next week we will be hosting an event it's an initiative by the Franciscan organization, and they will be coming in, and Scripps has talked about it, and they're having a community information session where they'll be talking about the money that they will be giving as a resource to the Lincoln Park area. So we're hosting that, and that's on the community piece. Then on September 30th, we will be hosting an event that's talking about violence and what we can do to help the village. Larry Lee did it last year, and Chief Baldwin will be coming, as well as Larry Lee and some other officials. And again, they're moving forward with helping within the community to stop the different violence and things that are going on, and educating. Then when you think about Lincoln Park, of course we will have the Giving Concert that is hosted by none other than Mr. or Dr. Perry. And we will be hosting that, and that's where we will have different choirs come to our school. And we will have orchestra concerts from middle school to high school, band concerts from middle school to high school, and choir concerts from middle school to high school, and of course our plays. We will be busy. Lincoln Park is a very busy place, along with all the athletics that's going on, because we have bowling, we have, let's start. We have bowling, we have, of course, swimming, then we have volleyball, and then we have all cross country. So there's a lot going on right now. But the most important thing is those things are going on, and we're still focusing on the child's education. So when you think about that whole child, we're giving them those experiences, but we're giving them so they can be better in all of those areas and diverse.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. Great.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we want to sincerely thank you and our other guests as well for sharing all of those great tips and ideas and important information.
And we want to take a moment just to provide some contact numbers and information where you could pull in some of those resources that we shared with you today. And those numbers are right there on the screen. You have the Student Services Department at 429-3930, as well as 429-4519. And lots of ways that they can provide resources for you, as well as the Parent Academy that we talked about with workshops and such. And their number is 466-0523. And we want to thank you so much for being with us on the September edition of Notebook. And we look forward to seeing you back next month with lots of great things that are happening in St. Lucie County Public Schools. Have a great night.
Thank you.